Welcome back to the Foundry by Forge College. Today we're grabbing our clipboards and strapping on our digital hard hats. You know those raw integration scripts we hacked together in our last lesson on the synthesis and integration plan? Well, it's time to forge them into a master blueprint. In this explainer, which by the way kicks off our capstone for decentralized storage solutions with IPFS and Filecoin right inside the NFTs and decentralized identity track, we're tackling the actual project kickoff and requirements. We're going to look at how you bridge that massive gap between writing a bit of cool code and deploying a totally bulletproof, secure NFT storage solution. Let's get into it. So unrolling our drafting table here, this is the agenda for today. First, we define the stakeholder contract. Second, we're going to build out a traceability backbone. Third, we map out our digital heist defenses through some storage threat modeling. And finally, we'll lock in our success metrics.
Okay, part one, the stakeholder contract, where we define our rules of engagement. We really need to start framing this capstone not just as a random pile of code, but as a strict, basically legally binding agreement between three extremely vital roles.
Think of it like a giant architecture project. Creators, they're the artists. They demand durability. They fully expect their digital masterpieces to stay exactly where they put them, completely immutable. Then you have integrators. That's the builders. They have to provide reproducible tooling like rock-solid CID generation and dependable storage deals. And finally, the auditors. They're your building inspectors, and they require highly measurable validation checks. Why does all this actually matter? Because getting into this specific mindset is what finally turns your vague, ambiguous wish lists into a concrete, enforceable engineering blueprint. Moving right along to part two, building a traceability backbone. This is all about going from a chaotic, disorganized garage to a perfectly labeled toolbox. Let's see how our stakeholder contract translates into a slick, organized project workflow. So what exactly do we mean by a traceability backbone? Basically, it's a repeatable workflow where literally every single project requirement links straight back to an existing artifact or a verification step. It's like an unbreakable chain of evidence, right? If a requirement you wrote down doesn't link directly to a specific script, say those CID generation tools we covered in the previous synthesis lesson, well, then it's just a wish floating in the wind. It's not engineering yet. To actually draw up this backbone, we follow a simple step-by-step workflow. First, inventory the scripts you already have. Second, extract your exact project requirements from those scripts. Third, map those requirements directly to automated tests. Fourth, prioritize them and set hard failure thresholds. And finally, link the whole shebang directly to a deployment verification checklist. Simple, right? Okay, on to part three, storage threat modeling, or as I like to call it, designing the heist defenses. This is where things get really fun because we're drawing up countermeasures against digital art thieves who want nothing more than to swap out your digital Mona Lisa for, I don't know, a doodle on a napkin. Our very first attack vector is content poisoning. This is a sneaky one. It's where an attacker tries to publish malicious or altered metadata under the exact same file name or schema, basically crossing their fingers and hoping your system won't catch the bait and switch. To shut this down, we enforce something called deterministic packaging. Now, all that really means is your pipeline consistently outputs the exact same content identifier, or CID, for identical input data, period. If a hacker changes even a single pixel of that image, the CID completely changes, instantly stopping those poisoners right in their tracks. No spoofing allowed. Next up on our threat map is retrieval interception, which you probably know as a man-in-the-middle attack. Imagine a compromised gateway acting as a middleman, quietly intercepting your request and serving you stale, or worse, totally fake content. How do we block interception heists? We cross-reference. You query multiple sources, like your pinned node, maybe a public gateway, and a direct IPFS peer. And you verify the byte-level hash equality across all of them. It has to be an absolute match. It's a beautifully advanced security pattern. And hey, if you find this level of Web3 architecture as fascinating as I do, Forge College actually has some incredibly immersive learning programs dedicated entirely to this kind of stuff. Our final attack vector isn't some sudden, dramatic, Hollywood-style heist. It's actually a slow, quiet leak, Filecoin deal expiration. If you're asleep at the wheel, your metadata storage deals can just lapse, and your digital assets vanish into the ether over time.
The fix for this is proactive durability. You got to set minimum Filecoin deal durations. You definitely need to maintain IPFS pinned backup copies of every CID just in case. And you must run automated monthly verification scripts to audit your long-term storage lifecycle. This is absolutely not a set it and forget it situation, folks. All right, let's look at part 4, setting success metrics, where we define our P0, P1, and P2 thresholds. With our digital defenses all sketched out in orange ink, let's figure out exactly what numerical metrics make this blueprint a true success. This table is brilliant at demystifying the whole process. We match each requirement right to its artifact, its verification method, and its threshold. Think of a P0 critical priority, like requiring a car to have working brakes, right? It's literally non-negotiable. Meanwhile, a P2 priority is more like having a nice stereo. It's super great to have, but you can still safely drive the car without it. So the absolute crucial point for metadata integrity is a strict, uncompromising 100% pass rate in your pre-deployed continuous integration checks. We're talking absolutely no CID mismatches allowed into production. None. Zero. Deal breaker. Meanwhile, for availability, your success threshold is slightly more forgiving, but it's still rigorous. We're aiming to maintain a 99% successful retrieval rate over a rolling 30-day window. As we start to wrap up this explainer, I hope you can really see the difference between a storage architecture that's just an abstract sketch on a whiteboard and one that is a fully verifiable, impenetrable master blueprint. I want you to take everything we've covered today, finalize your team's master blueprint, and bring it to our next capstone phase, where we are actually going to design and implement the architecture. And remember to visit forge.college to dive deeper into the subject and explore a whole world of other fascinating Web3 topics. So I'll leave you with this final thought. When the digital art thieves eventually come knocking, and they will, is your metadata going to hold its ground, or will your masterpiece vanish forever? Thanks for joining me at the Foundry, and I'll catch you in the next one.